Hello, I hope you're doing well and staying safe, and that applies to everybody that you care about. And if that isn't the case, then I'm genuinely, truly sorry, and I hope that things will get better for you and for those that you care about. But all of that is probably not the reason you clicked on this video, so I'm going to go into the April plan with me. Now, since I'm extremely out of practice with drawing pretty much anything, and I'm very much not confident that my artistic skills are up for it, I decided to do quite a few printouts, and I'm going to start with this black and white one, which has some April-themed images and this little bunny over which I superimposed the calendar of April, as well as the name of the actual month written on the side, because I'm also quite bad at calligraphy, so bear with me. Definitely more of a scrapbooking style bullet journal. Now, since so far everything is black and white because I actually only own a black and white printer, I decided to add a little bit more color and sparkle by filling in the month of April lettering with gold marker. And the only other lettering I would add to this spread is a looking forward to section, because I think that that's a great way to start out the month. And I tried to keep things consistent by outlining that in gold marker as well. Now, after moving things around for a little bit, I definitely felt like something was missing from the spread, so I decided to add some gray scrapbooking paper. And I went with gray because I thought that it didn't really overwhelm the other fairly light colors in the spread. And to keep things more cohesive, I also wanted to add the same gray paper to the other half of my spread. And to add a little bit more drama, I decided to add a little bit of black paper as well. But it wasn't quite enough, and since the only roll of washi tape I actually had at the time had a black and gold color scheme, I decided to add that as well. And then it was time to start gluing things down, and since I was pretty sure that I wouldn't remember where everything was, I just snapped a quick photo. To glue everything down, I'm pretty much just using a regular glue stick, and since that will be going on for a little bit, I thought I would also tell you why I've been away for so long. And the reason is that I've actually been feeling very badly. I've been kind of complaining about my health, even though I feel like I shouldn't be, especially in the current situation, for quite a while, but things have taken a turn for the worse, and it's very difficult for me to do anything and to concentrate on anything. So I'm not gone from my blog or my YouTube channel. I'm just not going to be updating as often because I'm physically unable to do so. And now moving on to happier things, back to my spread. When I actually finished gluing everything down, I realized that it was still looking a little bit empty and like something was still missing. So I wanted to add a few more elements to give the spread a more interesting and slightly busier appearance. And I did that with another strip of that same washi tape, a few leafy stickers that I thought go with pretty much any theme just because they're so neutral, including, luckily, this one. The next spread was going to be all about my trackers for the month, and I wasn't going to start with a huge amount of trackers. In fact, I was going to track all of them on the same little grid graph situation. I actually created this hoping to be able to use this same template for every single month, which is why it has 31 grids at the bottom and 24 vertically, and 24 vertically because one of the things I want to track is my bedtime on a 24-hour scale. And the rest of the spread was pretty much just me moving things around, trying to figure out how I like things. And I started out with this printout of a baby chick on yellow construction paper, just because, again, black and white printer, but I wanted to add a little bit more color regardless. I also added a little quote out of a bunch of quotes that I actually printed on scrapbooking paper to use in my future spreads. And this one is very spring themed, just like a lot of the quotes on that paper, which went with the light colors of the spread. And you'll see that I try out quite a few things in this spread before I'm happy with it. And one of the things that I did end up keeping was a piece of brown scrapbooking paper with a black border, just because I thought that the brown tones went really well with the warm yellows of the picture of the chick. And I also ended up using another one of those leafy, florally, neutral brown stickers, just because, well, it went with the theme, just like the brown scrapbooking paper. And I really didn't want to leave that space between the chick picture and my tracker grid empty. And of course, I used the same glue stick to then glue everything down. And once I did that, I thought that I could add a little bit more sparkle to the spread. And this was a different day when I already had a few more washi tapes, and one of them was this sparkly copper color, along with a sparkly gold, both of which I added to the spread. Now, since I really like the look of outlining the lettering from the previous spread, I decided to do the same thing here with the tracker lettering. And I did that with a sparkly copper-toned gel pen. But even then, I still felt like something was missing, especially since the left page was just so plain compared to the right page. So I decided to use that same copper gel pen to add some leaf doodles, and then to use a glittery gold colored gel pen to add some floral rose doodles to the left side of the page. And I think that it really helped to spruce things up a little bit, and I thought that the warm toned colors went well with the rest of the warm toned colors in the spread. But you'll see that I actually go back to this spread later because I ended up not quite liking it enough, so I'll show you a closer look of all of this when I've actually finished it. But for now, I thought that the only thing left was to add in what I would actually be tracking in the color that I would actually use to track it, so that I could use the same color on the grid to the left. Now, as you can see, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for the next spread either, but eventually I settled down on this printout of bunny ears sticking out of grass. And I pretty much then decided to build the rest of the spread around that. And as you can see, I'm actually having quite a bit of difficulty with it. I try a whole bunch of different textures and papers, and I move things around quite a bit, including my washi tape. And eventually I actually settled down on this black paper background. And I know that it keeps things kind of simple, but I thought it provided a nice contrast against the white rabbit ear picture. Finally, after I glue all of that down, because I've finally settled on the bottom portion of the page, I'm still struggling a little bit with where to place the washi tape, but I ended up actually using it as a sort of underline for the text. And I actually ended up not using the printed text for my headings, and I ended up hand lettering things instead. It's not quite calligraphy, that's for sure, but I still like how it came out, and this is definitely very personal to my style of writing. Finally, I decided to use the gold washi tape to underline my writing, just like I planned to do when I was going to paste it in. And just like for the previous spread, I'm not going to show you a close-up because I actually go back to this spread later and add some things to make it, well, better in my opinion. For now, we'll just move on to the last spread that I actually did for this April setup. For this spread, I actually built it around these two bunny pictures that I printed on brown construction paper, just like I did for that yellow construction paper chick. And this spread would be for my favorite weekly memories and my reflect and review. The favorite weekly memories section is something that I plan to implement, where I would pretty much just write down my favorite memory for each week in the month of April. And reflect and review is pretty simple. I would just reflect on the month and review what went well, what went poorly, maybe what I was happy about, what I would want to change, things like that. Now, I struggled quite a bit trying to make this spread more interesting, but I finally settled down on actually keeping it more simple, and I'm adding just a little bit more bright color to it by filling in the lettering with this peach Crayola marker that I had to do on a piece of paper because it just bleeds through pages. I'm not sure if that has more to do with the quality of the paper I'm using, probably it does, but whatever the case may be, this is what I had to do. I then cut out the lettering to make the placement a little bit more interesting across the page and glued everything down. But of course, things still looked quite plain and I definitely felt like quite a bit was missing and I could definitely improve the spread. So I ended up adding another one of those leafy stickers that I seem to be using for everything. Finally, I added some more washi tape on the corners of each picture and on the sides of each page, just because I thought that it would add a little bit of extra sparkle to the page, and I thought that the copper tone of the washi actually went really well with the rest of the warm brown tones and warm peach colors present in the spread. Now, I did mention that I actually went back to several of my previous spreads to fix them when I realized that they were actually too plain for me and I didn't actually end up liking them quite as much as I thought I did. And this was actually on a different day, in case you noticed the different colored sweater. And what I actually ended up doing was adding quite a few leafy doodles to the sides of the page, well, both pages of the spread actually, in various colors. And these colors were the coppery sparkly color, the golden sparkly color, and a sparkly silver, all of which were colors that I've used in the rest of the spreads. Well, except for the silver. But I thought that it went well with the black and white bottom portion of the spread. And when I was done with that, I realized that I still didn't like it, and what was actually missing from the spread was me filling in the leaves, because they weren't bold enough to really stand out and make the spread more interesting. But once I actually filled them in, first of all, the spread became a lot more sparkly, which the child in me was very, very happy about. And second, it actually did give the spread a lot more visual complexity, I want to say, if that's a good word to use, rather than something extra. And the last spread I realized I wanted to fix was actually the tracker spread. And the fix here was very similar to the previous spread, where I basically realized that I just wanted to fill in a few things with the copper sparkly gel pen. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you liked it. Again, I hope that you and all those you care about stay well and stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video. Be you, always. Bye.